Hello and welcome to the December edition of the HbbTV Webinar series. We are really excited to have so many people registered for this event, 248 people. This is amazing and shows the great interest we all share in the topic today. This is interactive TV services and innovative use cases. I'm very happy to have three experts in this field showing us and explaining, and there's even video demos for you, examples of use cases both in Europe and in the US. I welcome Oliver Botti, who's Strategic Marketing and Innovation Director, Executive Director of Fincons Group. Hello, Oliver. There's Massimiliano Pessina, responsible for the technology area of the business unit digital department at RTI Mediaset Group, both from Italy.
Hi.
And now over to the US, to Greg Jarvis, based in Los Angeles. He's Executive Vice President and General Manager of Fincons US. Hello, Greg.
Hello.
As usual, if you're familiar with our setup, you're very welcome to submit your questions. This is a live webinar, 60 minutes, and the last 10 to 15 minutes are reserved for your questions. So please, while the presentations are running, do type in any questions, comments you have, and they will be passed on to me, and I will then put them on the screen so we can discuss the issues with the presenters. As usual, I would like to remind you that the represented views are the views of the people and companies they represent, and not necessarily the views of the HbbTV associations. There'll be a YouTube recording of this session available as usual, so you can watch it again at a convenient time, or if you've missed parts of it, and we will also put the presentations online for you to download, so you can have another look at that and archive them. Thanks again for your interest. We're going to start the presentation. Over to you, Oliver. Okay, we can see the presentation. And now it's in big screen mode. Thank you, Oliver.
Maybe his line is frozen.
There seems to be a problem. Yeah, now it's back. This is live, guys. This is how we can see that it's live. Oliver, you're back.
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, we can see your presentation, and you may go ahead.
Great. Good afternoon or good morning, depending when you are, to everybody. I'm glad to be here and to share a set of interactive TV services. Some of them are mature on the market already, and a set also of innovative use cases that we selected for you. Let me start with a use case which is interesting from in the sport, in particular sport gamification. We started in January this year experimenting with Nerds in Boston, a new model of gamification in sport, which is leveraging HbbTV or ATSC3. We are working with both of these. And we introduced on the live of a game, like you see here, the hockey game, the possibility for the audience to answer to questions raised by commentators, and also the possibility to create a leaderboard which allows the ranking and real-time statistics. Then COVID came, opening a new scenario which was unexpected, to start being used to work with, to live with a stadium without fans. And so this application showed to be a good way to reinvent fan engagement, even for a so consolidated format like sports live events. I want to describe a little bit this example, but then I will leave to a 1 minute video, real live video, the role to better clarify it. With Nesne, which you know is the owner of the rights for the Boston Celtics, the Red Sox, and the Boston Bruins in Boston, we created a sample format where dedicated commentators speak not only about the hockey game, but also about the gamecast, so this game over the game, with the possibility to launch pre-game questions or bets and in-game question or bets. And as anticipated, to add to the traditional sports real-time statistics, also a sort of leaderboard, the possibility to unlock badges like in every e-gaming. And let me show you this short video to better explain what we mean. I think it's quite effective to see it. Should see it.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Bruins Gamecast. Tonight, the Boston Bruins take on the Pittsburgh Penguins. I'm Brian Hamilton, along with Matt Holt, the president of US Integrity. And Matt, as we look at tonight's game, these are two high-powered teams. And when it comes to the predictive game and earning points, this should present plenty of opportunities.
Yeah, plenty of points expected to be scored on Gamecast tonight, Brian, as the Bruins come in red hot. Winners of their last 5, 24 goals in the last 5 games for the Boston Bruins. I'm looking forward to Gamecast and all the points that are going to be scored tonight.
Should be outstanding. Courtesy of MGM Grand, we take to the ice next. It's the Bruins and Pens Gamecast right here on NESN Plus. Welcome back to tonight's Bruins Gamecast. Brian Hamilton along with Matthew Holt. And Matt, we start as always with our goaltenders, courtesy of Jordan's Furniture. Bottom of the screen, you'll notice throughout tonight's broadcast, questions with point values. Get involved, win prizes. Easiest way to say it, the first one, an obvious one, will David Pastrnak score in the first?
And I like his chances tonight, leading the NHL in 8 first-period goals thus far. I'm going to go ahead and take the yes, Brian.
Back, and just for you to know, then David Pastrnak did score, indeed, in the first minutes. So wasn't it exciting? I want to just to mention that behind this application, of course, we needed to build an environment for gamification settings. In particular, we created the platform to create the page layout configuration to enable content survey management and also the contents live update. This is part of what we call Smart Digital Platform, which is not only, of course, dedicated to the gamification setting, but also is a more complete tool set, which in particular allows to redefine the application development as we are used to. So based on templates and automation, this is a flexible framework which is designed to enable next-gen TV business solution and is the first to be compliant with either HbbTV and ATSC 3 for the European, respectively the US market. But apart from this, I want to see a few other interesting examples that we can now enable, combining not only HbbTV and ATSC, so the interactivity standards, but also combining it with, for example, machine learning to bring personalization to the next level. Remaining in sports, we call smartwatch in this example of data-driven personalized navigation and also generation of automatic and personalized highlights. So in this way, in this case, we use AI to automatically recognize the significant event of a race, of a car race, the end, start, the overtakes, collisions, interviews, and we provide a smart player which allows to jump from one event to the other, and this event can be also personalized, so it can be a Ferrari-driven Grand Prix, for example, rather than a McLaren one. You can imagine this kind of examples running for other sports. Of course, not all the real trick here is to be able to engage the proper machine learning engines. Not all of them are good at the same way for the recognition of specific events. So, for example, we have an engine more suitable to work with cars and other with football or other cases. The same kind of smart watching idea can be applied to movies or TV formats or other TV formats. For example, navigating through the celebrity appearance. So we can select, the audience can select its own preferred artist or actors, and then navigate jumping from one occurrence to the other. This is useful for for example, to give some more value to VOD contents and to create the possibility to consume long form in a better way. So creating ultimately room for additional advertising. The same approach can be applied to navigate through talent recognition, based on talent recognition. So in this case, we're not talking about Hollywood famous actors, which are already present and recognized in the most common engines on the market, but we have to train these engines with pictures of our talents. Another interesting example I picked up from the recent experiences, this comes from the US, is a well-known US distributor of contents, which uses ATSC in this case to create a sort of a hybrid linear VOD binge watching. So the possibility to switch from linear to VOD and vice versa. So during a VOD watching, alerts arrives on live content upcoming on current channel or on channels within the network. Vice versa, during the VOD watching, related show or movies recommendation can appear and maintain the eyeballs on the same screen. Or next episode recommendation, for example, of the same series can also appear. The examples that we have seen are all or already running or ready to be launched. The technology is available. I wanted for this event also to pick up a more visionary example. This is not ready, don't ask to sell it. It's still a research and development initiative founded by the European Commission, and it's the result of a work that we did together with a number of other companies and academies and universities and research centers. It received the prize, the Innovation Technology Innovation Award from NAB this year in April, and is targeting the accessibility for impaired people. The objective of Content for All, as it called this project, is to develop a sustainable and affordable solution that enables, or will enable, because we are still on the way, broadcasters to provide accessible contents to the deaf community. Broadcaster in this scenario will be able to make additional content available in sign language to a broader audience, reducing production cost and also meeting regulatory requirements. This example implies a number of technologies because to execute the automatic sign language generation, there is a multi-language translation starting from subtitles or either from speech to text. AI-based move recognition. We have applied, you will see in the example through a short video that we have applied two alternative examples for this. And then we have to animate, to build and to animate a photorealistic 3D avatar, which you will see is still a rough prototype as it appears in the video, but we are getting closer and closer to the real appearance of a real human sign. And then, of course, it involves HbbTV. In this case, it's a European implementation, but will be able to run also on ATSC to integrate the broadcast and broadband signal on the same connected TV. I would like to show this short, very short video to better explain it. And let me launch the video. This is a weather forecasting for SRF, Swiss television. We are translating from German language directly into sign language using on one side Kinect and the other one regression. Regression is based on machine learning. Let me find the video and launch it.
20 Grad, es gibt relativ eine frische Nacht. Morgen am Morgen früh haben wir zum Beispiel im Raum Zürich noch gerade 9 Grad. Sonst so die tiefsten Werte um die 10, 11 Grad. Ein bisschen wärmer ist es in Genf. Oder natürlich im Tessin, Lugano hat um die 17 Grad am Morgen früh.
Well, really behind this there is really a bunch of technology and a bunch of good and smart people that has been working on it. And I would like to conclude with a perspective. We think that hybrid TV applications have a bright future. Here you see a number of examples that have already been implemented and more to come. And I would like just to switch now from available and visionary innovation examples that I've been showing to a more mature service, which is in production since 2018, but still is innovating every day. And this is Mediaset Play by Mediaset. So I will pass the mic to Massimiliano for this.
Yes, thank you very much, Oliver, for these valuable insights. And it's time now to look at Mediaset Play, and nobody could be better suited to present us the latest developments than Massimiliano. Thank you and welcome.
Okay, here we are. Thank you, Jörn. Thank you to everybody to be here. I would like to share about use case made with Fincons. Our experience is in on our Mediaset Play HbbTV application. Mediaset Play. Let me show. Sorry, my presentation. Okay. Do you see my presentation now?
Yes, it's there, and you go into presentation mode. Exactly. Thank you.
What Mediaset Play is? Mediaset Play is an HbbTV to broadcaster related application available on all Mediaset broadcast channel, DTT and SAT. The first version of the app was published in 2018, and it being part of the Mediaset Play ecosystem. That means second screen application such as mobile application, website, and it offers to the final user the possibility to access to all the video content of Mediaset. During this year, the application was undergone a complete restyling, let me say, and a re-engineering of its architecture, which allow the editorial team to modify the application remotely and customize it for each TV network. Now we try to tell you what the main features are based on 4 macro points such as content, user experience, and user interface, services, and advertising. Sorry for this slide, it's a little bit complex, but it's not easy to resume all the capability that the application are able to give to the users. So for content, the application show all the Mediaset catch-up content in clip, that is a short video format, and full episode for TV program, for TV series, film, kids, documentaries, etc., etc. Live content, such as, for example, the restart of our on-air channel, so the capability for the user to be able to restart the program that is on the broadcast from zero. And for UX UI, the app was created to be completely dynamic as regards its composition of navigation, giving the editorial team the possibility to modify, create version of the app that coexist and are different, for example, for any different broadcast channel. The services and the type of the content can be configured and on a device basis, making the most of the characteristic of the different device that device have. That are main things that allow you to have an application that is always updated, even in the way of presenting the content or its navigation. The services supported by the app exploit the HbbTV capabilities as far it's possible to manage live streaming. Particular attention is paid to the restart service, as I mentioned before, which is always available to the user and is the first thing that appears when the user opens the app during his experience. In addition to a very useful feature such as real-time clipping, so we have the possibility to publish in real time the salient episode of the program that is on the air. So the user can select a particular event that was on the broadcast some minutes before. We have also the possibility to manage different call to action. It means the first message that appears to the users when the user watch a Mediaset channel. And at the same time, we have the capability of push notification. So by the editorial team is allowed to create push notification in order to give the particular message to the final user, in order to give him information about how to use in the restart or put the attention of the user to a particular VOD available in the catalog. So last but not least, it's very important for us, for example, is the GDPR compliancy. So the application manages in a very good way all the choices made by the user. So we know that the user choice Mediaset, and we respect the choices of the user. So if the user selects to be the possibility to collect data from its experience, we use it, or if the user don't want, we respect the choices of the user. About advertising, the application manages advanced advertising format such as AD+. AD+ is the provision of interactive ADV on broadcast advertising, and interactive ADV, for example, during the channel change. Extremely important is the possibility also to replace an advertising available in the broadcast with another advertising for broadband. This is a particular feature that we believe it, and it's let me say something that we want to explore more in the future in order to achieve the best experience, or to give the best experience to our final user. Let me share some data in order to better understand how this application is the performance of this application. Free number, I can share that more than 3.5 million of unique devices per month are on our application. More than 1.5 million users, unique devices, open the application. So the users decided to use the application in order to search or use some content that are available on the application. And during last number that is more impressive is 11 million of video viewed during the year. So this is the most important number, because we collect more than 130% growth in per year. Last point is our work in progress. So free point that for sure the target advertising is something that we want to explore more, as I mentioned before, in order to be able to give a proper user experience and be let me say more efficient in order to switch advertising from broadcast to broadband. Companion device feature, the possibility to use another device, for example a smartphone, in order to interact with the application and vice versa. And last but not least, DVB-I. So we believe that is for a broadcaster an important innovation technology. So DVB-I is for sure something that you want to explore during the next month. I think it's all from my side. I hope that what I say was interesting for everything, and please act the up arrow while watching the Mediaset channel. Thank you.
Thank you for these impressive and interesting facts and figures and the outlook into the future, or your future plans. I'm sure there'll be questions coming up. We've already received the first couple of questions, and I would like to encourage you to keep submitting your questions through the chat box on the bar of the webinar software. Just type them in, and we are very happy to discuss them at the end of this live session. We now go over to the US, to Los Angeles. Greg Jarvis is waiting for us with an update on Fincons in America.
Hi, everyone. What I want to talk to you about, and what we're gonna discuss here, is the applications that we're building, that the concepts and the originations come from HbbTV, as ATSC is new here in the US. We have been working with the ATSC group and the commission and doing tests for the past few years, and it's just being launched this year. The applications that we build here with our customers and clients, and I'm going to showcase one of our major clients here, are all based on one main concept. And the main concept is everything we do, the functionality and features, the content, has to do with monetization, has to do with revenue. And we break that into two different categories. We have direct revenue, which is the most obvious, is in advertising, targeted advertising, ad replacements. We also have new advertising, new inventory that's available through promotions, through ads, through pop-ups. And we're also bringing back TV commerce. So we've, as many know, TV commerce, or commerce through the television, has been tried many times over the years. And we now see that working because the technologies are now available to bring these two things together. So we have direct revenue, and then we have indirect revenue, which, as a broadcast, you now have the ability to increase retention. That is, keeping people on the channel, keeping them from changing the channel, increasing the viewership, meaning more people to come to watch your show, content, and so forth. And then the secondary engagement, which is the ability to interact with the viewers. So interacting through email, through text, you now have the ability to have a relationship with them, perhaps get them on email lists, fans lists, and so forth. So every app that we build, we make sure that we are touching one of these categories in all of the functionality that we have. How do we do that? There's really two main concepts that get plugged in. So you have a personalizing your linear feed. So you have the feed that's going over, you have targeted content, you have the ability to offer content specifically for the user, and of course, ads that are personalized for the user. And then second is in connected experiences. So with the television being a laid-back experience through remote control, we don't design applications to be complicated as you would be able to use with a mouse or a phone. So the television experience is a laid-back experience. It has simple interactions, and the things that are more detailed, you push to the devices that are better suited for that detailed information. so forth. So for example, if there is more pages, more rich information that you want to read, it's a lot easier to read on your phone or on a web page. If you want to do transactions, we talked about TV commerce. So if you're going to purchase things, it's much easier to do on the device better suited for it. So we have personalizing and then connecting. What I'm going to talk about specifically is an application that we did with the CBS networks. This particular application is done with the CBS This Morning show. So the CBS This Morning is a news, politics, entertainment 1-hour program every morning on the national broadcast from CBS. We call it a cooking show app, which was very suited to all of the different areas that we wanted to talk about, is called The Dish. The Dish is about a 7 to 8 minute segment on Saturday mornings, and they bring in a celebrity chef. They talk about the different recipes that they have and themselves, and at this time, the food for everyone, a cooking show. This specifically is a show app. So this app only appears during the show. Okay, the user can choose to view the app or not, just choose not to do anything, or if they want to click to enable the app, they can. The content for the show is very specific for it, very specific to that episode, and the fans or the enthusiasts get more information. They can watch more. They can learn more about the chef. They can purchase things. So in this case, there is, the upside is the ability to do direct promotions, direct purchases, and also get the users to stay engaged. So a little bit more about it, and then I'm going to show you an example. So what we wanted to do is to design the app that's very simple to use. Okay, and we use the basic concept of 6 keys. You got up, down, left, right, enter, and exit. That's it. As you know, there's many different styles of remote controls that are coming out that exist. So wanted to keep the interaction very simple, and we did all the navigation through a carousel that it shows up relatively non-obtrusive in the bottom corner to do all of the interaction for the viewer. So kind of a busy screen, but when we looked at the designing the functionality with CBS, we looked at e-commerce. Okay, this is again the ability to purchase purchase items with that purchase origination starting from the TV show. And what we did is in the example that I'm going to show you, or this episode, there's typically a recipe book. And so the guest chef is selling a recipe book, or the show has a publisher that's selling a recipe book. So from the app, you can click purchase the book, and it shows up as a link on your cell phone or as an email to be done for the purchase to be completed on a computer. Next was the VOD content. So there's multiple episodes. The show's been going on for a while. If you want to go back and watch previous segments of the dish, that was made available to the user. And of course, when we do that, we have the ability to do pre-rolls and post-rolls as new ads targeted for those users. Bottom left, we talk about learn more. So we wanted to learn more about the guest chef, we wanted to learn more about the recipes. We give the viewer the ability to send the recipe to their phone. We give the viewer the ability to purchase all of the items in the recipe to their phone and have them delivered to their home. And then last is in social posting. So we are creating a community, and people are posting. You can post on Facebook or Twitter. Just watch this episode. It was great. Perhaps there's some sort of prizes, but at that same time, remember that the broadcaster is now collecting information. We're getting email addresses. We're getting a database of the fans. So these aspects were all built in, again, following one of those 6 categories that I talked about earlier. So let me show you an example of what that is.
Hello everybody, it's Jarvis from the Fincons group. What I'm going to show you is a hybrid TV app that we built specifically for this segment. It's what we call a show app, and the viewer controls it all from the remote control. Let me show you in a little more detail.
So let's have a closer look. What first appears when the segment starts is the small bug in the bottom right that shows that there's an app available and instructions to the viewer to use the up arrow on the remote to see more. The app's designed to be very simple to use, uses the up, down, left, right, and OK buttons to navigate. So let me go ahead and press the up button on my remote control, and the app appears. This is what we call the main carousel. Viewer can use the left or right buttons to scroll through to see what's available in this app. Let's start with the recipes. So using the up arrow, I can see all of the different food that's being prepared, and the recipes for them for this segment. Let's go ahead and have a closer look at the butternut squash recipe. So what you see is all of the ingredients. I can click the left arrow and I can share those ingredients. I can share them on Facebook, I can send them to my email, or I can text them to myself. The idea is to see more detailed information is better viewed on a phone or a PC than it is on the television. So let's go ahead, send that to my phone. Why not? Let's email it and let's post on Facebook. Now, using the left arrow, let's look at purchasing these ingredients. So from here, I can press the OK button. And now what's happened is a link to the detailed information to purchase all these ingredients has been sent to my phone, and I can complete that transaction on my phone. Let's go ahead and come back down to our main carousel, scroll over, and let's take a look at the guest chef today. Here's a little information on her bio, and I can share that information and get more details sent to my phone. So let's go ahead and do that, and a link's now been sent for the page that has more detailed information about this guest chef. Now coming back down to our main carousel, let's go ahead and scroll through and let's shop. I click the up arrow, and what's being discussed in this segment is a recipe book. So here's some information about that recipe book. I scroll to the right and I can purchase that book on Amazon. Let me go ahead and buy a book. Press OK. And again, that link.
Okay, so I think you get the idea of the app. This was a show reel that we recorded of the actual app running. And again, this was developed in the ATSC technology stack, but it's essentially a hybrid TV app that, regardless of the underlying technology standard, will work. So in conclusion, that is an example of one of the applications that we're building here. The concepts are available, of course, for both HbbTV and ATSC3. As you know, as a company, we build these apps and have applications that are able to publish in both of these standards. We've been building them since 2014 with my colleagues in Europe, and then here in the US since the standard started in 2018. As you know, we are members of both ATSC community and HbbTV. You know, as things have been just launching here in the US, we have written reference applications. We were commissioned to write a guidebook on how to write TV applications by the NAB here in the US, and subsequently some of the tools that are needed to publish these apps we have built and licensed, specifically called the SDP here at Fincons. So today in the US, things are just being launched. So as a company, we are switched from developing things to make sure they work to putting them on air. So that's my conclusion here from the US. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this update from the US and the interesting use case examples you've presented and shown in the video demo. It's the first time we've had video demos in the HbbTV webinar series, and I'm glad it all went so well, and I hope you had a real benefit of these additional audiovisual examples of the things we are discussing. It's all very technical, so I think it's a good idea to show what actually ends up in the viewers' corners. We have plenty of questions coming up, as you can see, as I've shared my screen with you, and I'm not sure whether we'll be able to focus on all of them, but at least maybe some of them, especially the ones that target Greg following his presentation directly. The first one says, question to Greg, can you give more details about the e-commerce functionality? How do you drive the audience to the page or applications to complete the purchase? And how do you get the cell numbers of the users? That is a question we had twice. How do you get the cell numbers or email addresses of the users?
Well, there's let's see. So I'll go in reverse. So to get the information from the viewer, there is really two ways. The best way is they're a registered user, they're logged in. So there is base apps that are built here in the US. There's called a framework where the user has filled out a profile. So they have a username, a password, they have then given their email address or their phone number. So in the example I gave, they were already logged in. The actual application for someone who's not logged in, we have an on-screen keyboard where they're typing in their phone number, of course, with all of the appropriate privacy terms selected. And then the commerce, remember that the content is produced specifically for that program. So we know where to purchase that book. Okay, so the links to that purchase page, the shopping cart page, if you will, are typed in by the producers or the editors before the show. So we know exactly where to purchase it.
Okay, another question. What is the click-through rate in the morning show to all TV commerce applications for you, Greg?
Well, that's a question I would have to resort to my CBS friends to be able to to share. That's really for me. I can tell you though, we have to remember in the US that ATSC is just getting started, right? So we are rolling out market by market, city by city, as the ATSC stations roll out there, combined with the actual television manufacturers that are also just rolling out in 2020 here in the US. So the numbers aren't in volume as significant as you might see later. You know, the prediction is within 2 years, we'll hit 50% market saturation for the devices in the US, but the percentage, I can tell you, of people that are using these apps, interacting with it are high.
Okay, another question for you, Greg. How many people engaged with the New England Sports Network content, and was there some content that had greater engagement than others?
The work we did with NESN, so NESN is the New England Sports Network, is the regional sports network here in the US. It's in the New England area, the upper northeast, and we specifically did this app for hockey as a trial at the beginning of the year, with the idea to launch in full production for the next season, which is now, for the hockey season. Unfortunately, sports took a little bit of a pause this year, and the hockey season got stalled and stopped and stalled and stopped and still hasn't started again. So this was, as a trial, it was very interesting. Remember, we had the number of viewers were the ones specifically that had the devices, but the full production has not been rolled out for the obvious reasons of COVID, and sports stopped and all this kind of good stuff, both less sports and really focus on other areas of keeping things going.
Yeah. So things didn't go as planned this year. I can probably say that for most people in our industry. Over to Italy. For you, Massimiliano, Mediaset has an HbbTV application since 2018. Someone asks that, whether he heard that correctly. And do you have enough HbbTV receivers actually in the Italian market for an HbbTV2 app?
So in since the 18, the number of HbbTV devices is constantly growing. We started with a percentage that was 30% HbbTV and the rest all was MHP. But now, after 2 years, what we can see is that the number of the HbbTV devices is more or less the 70%. So it's very, very high number at the moment.
Okay, decent amount. Again, for you, Mediaset, where can the user register at the Mediaset app? And is that on a TV screen, on a mobile, or on a PC? So how do you register and log in and activate your customer account?
So the registration is made only by website or a mobile application. In the HbbTV application, the user can perform a login by using a second device, for example, by perform a login on the devices and use a code that is showed in the television. So it permits us to give the to collect this data to the application, or the user can choose to put a normal username and password directly in the application TV.
Okay, and following on that one, how will Mediaset recognize the user or client when cookies will no longer be allowed? That's an EU-wide issue, obviously affecting many players.
Yeah, we have also this type of issue, because if the cookie value is not always present in the device, when this device comes again, collect another value of this cookie. In case of the user navigate application by login, but in this case, only in this case, we are able to reconnect these devices to the previous value of the cookie.
Okay, one to Oliver, I think. It's nice to have AI integration as artificial intelligence on HbbTV and ATSC 3.0. Are those AI engines running on the server side using real-time captured live streams?
These engines actually are running in the cloud, on server side in the cloud. And what we developed is a middleware which orchestrates the engagement of these engines. And when we need to mark, to implement, for example, to enable the smart watching models and use cases that I showcased, when we need to mark the content, normally we move in the cloud the low quality content, we extract metadata there, and we then bring back the metadata on the high quality, which remains on premises. But the engines are running in the cloud, if that was the question.
Yeah. Is enabling next generation audio with immersive content also a topic in the near future? So that's NGA with immersive content.
That's at the research level, yes. We have not yet productized that, but for sure is one of the topics that we are looking with interest, as for example, VR and AR also are topics that we are exploring, in particular related to the sport events, where of course an immersive experience is not only present and appreciated, but also needed right now with the empty stadium, as I was mentioning before.
Yeah. Another one for you, Oliver. How can we create HbbTV and ATSC apps without developing them twice? I think this refers to Android and iOS. Is there any advances in this area? I think you have a solution for HbbTV and ATSC, but what about Android and iOS?
Yes, that was a key point since the initial design phases, because we have been working concurrently in the European market, or we started in the European market in 2013, working on HbbTV at the research level. And then as soon as we understood that this would have been relevant also for the US market in 2017, we started talking with the US broadcasters. And so since the beginning, when we decided to engineering our several experiences into a product, by design, we wanted a solution which was a worldwide solution. So we were thinking about global distributor like Disney or like CBS, which could target the US and the European market concurrently. So by design, we decided to develop the application with a single application modeling tool. I said during the presentation, but very quickly, that we base the development of application starting from a modeling tool which generates a single model for an application. Then we developed the middleware, which is a sort of decoupling layer with different APIs, which implements this single model of application, single template, in 2 languages. So with 2 different APIs, one for HbbTV and one for HB 2.0 and one for ATSC 3.0. Why we did this split? Because we wanted then to be able to leverage at the maximum the native capability of each standard. So at the end, we have 2 codes, but we have a single application model. The user works just once on a single application. We managed 2 different codes because we went into the details of each of the 2 standards. We are part of the standardization bodies. We contribute to both ATSC and the HbbTV. And so we understand well, and our customer understand even better than us, the different peculiarities that each standard provides. For example, in managing the advertising, targeted advertising that Massimiliano was mentioning, that is so important to be able to actually monetize the advertising, new advertising paradigms. ATSC is in some sense more modern because it started later, and now HbbTV is providing new solution with the new TA specification to try and recover that. So it's very, and there are several other little things that differentiate the 2 standards, exactly as you say, like iOS and Android. A native implementation at the end is able to leverage and to maximize the exploitation of the different functionalities. So one
if
application,
I was an app developer, just a quick question. If I was an app developer, I think it would make my life a lot easier if I was able to have not a joint or integrated platform just for HbbTV and ATSC that you're offering now. It wouldn't it be more perfect if you had like a platform that also integrates Android and iOS apps? So you develop and program the app once, and it comes out in 4 different streams: 1 HbbTV, 1 ATSC, 1 Android, 1 iOS. But the development only needs to be done once, or is that too complex or difficult to ensure because the systems are just too different from each other?
I think the approach is the same because, for example, we use the same unique model to generate HbbTV 2.0, but we will need to generate HbbTV 1.5, just to make an example. That is a different, quite a big difference in the same standard. So the same applies to Android and iOS. It's like, but we didn't right now use the system to generate also Android and iOS. We generate an HTML5 code at the end, which is running on all the different platforms.
Right. Yeah, I can actually add to that too, because we're right now building an application where that is the requirement, to where there is a phone app or a TV app and a companion phone app, and that very question was like, okay, well, I want to be efficient in my coding and my development and my production. The first step in achieving that challenge that we are able to reuse some things is we built a web app on the phone. As opposed to doing a native app, right? So it's really a technology challenge more than it is anything else. And of course, there are technologies that allow for designs for different size screens, React and so forth. But we are approaching that first step of that, right? Which would be developing the web app, and that's something that we're building.
That is good news for the app developers. I'll stay with you, Greg. Another very basic question: how do you make TV viewers actually type in their email address with the TV remote? We've all tried that before.
Yeah, I'd like to say I have a magic solution, but the truth is, if you want to get something, you got to give something. And so when that functionality appears, if you are not logged in and subsequently an on-screen keyboard comes up, to enable this, you must agree to these terms, and subsequently you must type in your email address or your phone number, which, yes, we see the same problem. So having a common app, which is an application that runs in the background of your TV throughout, and having that person already logged in, we believe is the key, and it's the adoption of that common app. But that common app still has the same problem. For you to get more functionality, to get personalization, to get a favorites list, to do things like that, you must log in. And the way I view it is really not a lot different than in web applications, to where to get more information, you must subscribe, you must log in. It's free. The same promotional tactics are being used.
Okay. I've just need to interrupt you quickly because we've got a feedback from the president, the chairman of the HbbTV Association, Vincent Grivani. I would like to correct the fear that HbbTV will remove the companion devices feature. What will be removed will be TV controlling tablet, but not the general linkage between tablet and TV. I think that is important to mention in this case.
Yeah, I saw that. I was curious because we are building apps with that type of functionality being key.
Exactly.
The gamification that Oliver was showing is very interactive and timely. So it's through that spec that happens. But I wasn't familiar with the spec in HbbTV.
One for you, Greg, probably best to stay with you. How much is there like commonplace between the US ATSC apps and the HbbTV apps? You've already addressed this a little bit. I think which is the best probably is a question that can't be answered directly with yes or no. As usual, probably it depends.
Yeah, well, I mean, in my opinion, things that we see, and Oliver and our colleagues, we're kind of one big team. The applications that we build and that we've been designing, and the parts that are common apps that are built within the tool that we have are the same. The question is the market, right? And are these done through the broadcast, or are they show apps? There's so many capability, there's so many different capabilities out there. It's really the viewer and the market. But from from our perspective, from a design perspective, we don't limit ourselves because of one specification or another. We designed it to be the same for both.
Okay, another one for you, Greg. Since it will take 2 years for ATSC 3.0 to reach 50% saturation in the US, what are you doing to bridge that gap in the near and midterm future?
There's 50% market saturation for the TV manufacturers. Okay, here in the US, connected devices are very popular. Roku, Amazon Fire TV, to connect a device to your television, a relatively inexpensive consumer electronics is common. So what I also see is the connected devices, the dongles, the media boxes, the relatively inexpensive boxes being released, and because they don't have, it's not a full TV, they're able to go to market faster. And I see a number of devices that are in market, in trials, and it's through those devices that I think things are going to be pushed out faster. And remember, the broadcasters in each market who are investing in launching there are promoting in those regions, in that city also. And part of those promotions are promoting devices, and it's much easier to promote a relatively inexpensive device than it is to buy a $1,000 TV. So.
Yeah, just one little bit of feedback again on the companion device removal issue that from the market. I think it's good to read that out. It would be bad news. Market maturity requires more time, but there are many possibilities that can mix both worlds of TV and mobile. I think it's good to know that this was probably a misunderstanding. To Oliver, one of the last questions, what is the motivation for the service providers to use either HbbTV or ATSC3 to use the system that allows to develop apps for both systems? You've already addressed that a little bit, I think.
Yeah, probably this is something more in this question if I get properly. Well, if there is someone which needs also to generate in the two standards, and these are for sure nowadays the global broadcasters or global content distributor like Disney or CTS, but also a local one which aims to address the global market. And in this way, there's no limitation introduced by the different standards. For this same reason, for example, working with the US for applications which regards the emergency alerting, we are in touch also with the Japanese standard, because that's the third one in the globe. And when you want to implement an emergency alerting solution nowadays, you cannot be limited to a country, and even you cannot be, COVID showed that you cannot be limited also to a region or to a continent. And so you need to overcome this situation. And that was a case that, for example, needed to manage the 3 worldwide standards nowadays available for interactivity.
Okay. The last question to Massimiliano. Nice work. How do you convince media agencies and such buying authorities and organizations your data is trustable and valid so they can count on their reliability? Obviously important issue regarding monetization, targeted advertising, and so on.
Absolutely. At the moment, all the data we collect in terms of audience and advertising are then certified by our advertising agency through our ad server, that is Freewheel in our case. At the moment, we're still working on MRC certification for this purpose, and we also started to work with Auditel in order to certify our HbbTV application.
Okay, we've come to the end of our webinar. Time to say thanks to the audience. And Oliver, one more question.
Yes.
Okay.
I forgot one important thing to say, because it's very, very fresh. The application, the Gamecast application we showcased today, yes, just yesterday night won the prize, the bronze prize, in the Sports Pro OTT Innovation of the Year Awards. And so we are very proud of that, but also we are glad that this maybe is a way to increase the appetite for this kind of application, because the more we work on this, the more we provide services to the citizens.
Congratulations, Oliver and the team. Congratulations, Greg, and to all of you for this achievement. I've seen that, and it's always good to have this kind of encouragement and support. Anyway, thanks for joining us today. Thanks to Greg, thanks to Oliver, to Massimiliano, and to you for your questions in the audience. We've had one of the most watched webinars of the HbbTV series today. This concludes the series for this year. We have new webinars lined up for you next year that you can see here. Next one on January 19th. You will receive an invitation for that very shortly. As you've registered for this webinar, you will be automatically invited to join the next webinar. This is by Cellnex Telecom in Spain, and look at the lessons learned and challenges ahead in the Spanish TV platform Jarvis TV. You've probably heard of that. They launched about 2 years ago. As usual, at the end, if you have ideas for your own webinars and suggestions, anything you'd like to give us as your feedback, you're very welcome to contact the HbbTV Association by email at webinar.hbbtv.org. Again, stay with us, don't close the window, and there's a little survey coming up for you, and just a few questions helping us to improve this webinar series. Thank you once again for joining us today. Have a great December, great holiday time, and see you all next year. Stay well. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.